Hey, be a squid and subscribe to my mediocrity. How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be doing the Need for Speed Heat actual review. This has been an up and down relationship with this game. I've got about 40 some hours on this game, and it's, man, I don't know whether to be happy or disappointed with it. I really don't. I don't know. I'm going to try and walk that middle line and go about this the best way I can. Just bear with me here. Also, fun fact, out of the 24 years I've walked this earth, this is the actual only racing game I've ever given a fair chance and played for more than an hour. So just know where I'm coming from. I'm not a racing guy. I'm not a car guy. Even if I wanted to try and pretend like I was, I don't even know the terminology to try and fake it. So just know I am not a race person or a car person. I like a good looking car and I like customizing the cars, but when it comes to the in-depth knowledge on what does what and what car goes where, I don't know shit. So just know that about me and me reviewing this. So we're gonna start soft and we're gonna go with the story because I think that's where the easiest thing for me to talk about is. So the story is not good. I'll just say that straight up. The voice acting is terrible. The protagonist probably has the best voice acting out of the entire game, which is fine actually, because majority of the time the protagonist has the worst voice acting in the entire game. So I'm glad at least this one I can kind of see there was some effort and there's a little bit of relatability in the way they speak, and they don't do any of that cheesy dialogue where it's like, you know, so some of the other characters do, like I referred to in my first impressions. One of your partners in your little crew or whatever is like, oh, we gotta, you know, kick Kenny's tailpipe, and it's like, no, nobody says that. No, just nobody. For the most part, the story is just bizarre. I gotta be honest, it's really bizarre. I know it's called Need for Speed Heat and it's supposed to be about cops, but my god, this is quite possibly the most morally confusing story I've ever played. It's so weird. So I'm gonna spoil the story a little bit. Well, not really, it's just the opening gameplay, but it should set the tone for what I'm talking about so you guys can get at least a general understanding as to what the hell I'm even referring to.
What did you do? What'd you do to that sweet-ass ride? You lost the car. He lost the car.
No, Shaw. This is on you.
You're gonna wish you never survived.
Who says he did?
What are we doing here?
Sending a message.
Wait, stop!
Hey, he said...
We're on camera back there.
Shaw, hold it.
So this is how we work now?
These crews gotta learn. Try making a mockery of my unit, you're gonna take the fall.
Frank, you're smarter than this. You want to send a message? You need a messenger.
You, get out of town. And if we see you or any of your crew around here again, you're gonna be joining that car. You understand? Get up. Go tell your friends.
So the opening cutscene is a street race is happening and cops are in pursuit of one of the street racers, and the street racer spins out because the cop, I think, like tail ends him or something, I don't fucking know, and he spins out on a bridge and he almost falls off the bridge in the car, but he jumps out just in time and the car falls and gets totaled in the water. Cops show up and you'll never guess what's gonna happen. You're like, oh, they arrest him and put him in jail. Nope, they're prepared to murder him to send a message to the crew that he's a part of. You know, standard cop things. This just confused me and rattled my mind for a good while because I was like, man, I'm kind of an asshole, you know, I'm street racing at nighttime and, you know, I'm fucking up the properties and I'm just, you know, driving through yards, you know, towns, you know, going to shit. I'm just basically a hooligan, you know what I mean? I'm fucking up the town, you know, like that's how I should feel. But instead of feeling that way, I feel like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it anyway because the cops suck dick. All they want to do is murder me and impound my vehicles for like little to no reason. Like at one point there was they impounded one of my crew members' fucking cars, like in the story. And, you know, the cop that does it, his name is, I believe, Shaw, and he just is like, oh, yeah, well, we got a description that there was some just activity happening with this car, so we're going to impound it. And then when she goes to go pick up her car from the impound, she was going to pay for it and everything, and they have no record of it whatsoever. They're just legitimately holding her car hostage, and there is no record. They covered it up and everything. It's just like, okay, I don't know anymore. This is just getting a bit too much for me. And then the other part to the story is, you know, your kind of side partner in the crew that's trying to race with you. She's like very hyper and wanting to race all the time, and she's very aggressive, which is normally not a problem, except for the fact that there's no relatability to it whatsoever. And I mean, like, you can't even begin to try and immerse yourself in the story because it's so ridiculous. She's like, she calls you up, yo, are you racing? Are you out there racing? Are you racing? No, bitch, there are literal murder cops trying to kill me right now. Why do you want me to go out and race while that's happening? You are the worst friend. Please stop calling me. And then on top of that, she's like dissing her brother, who is the voice of reason and is just trying to run his shop. And it's like, my God, this lady is just a horrible person. Like, just the story is all sorts of moral confusion and like, who's the bad guy? Who's really the bad guy? Is it me? Is it the cops? We're both breaking laws. Who the fuck? Like, it's just a free-for-all in this game. So while the voice acting and the story is not exactly the most appealing thing in the world, let's just kind of move past it and talk about the progression and just the, you know, how to unlock cars, parts, and stuff like that, which, just another quick note here, the way you unlock stuff is, God, it's dumb. Like, the reason behind it is dumb. So, in order to buy parts for your vehicle, you have to have a certain rep level. And the way they set that up is you go to a part shop and then you're trying to, you know, hey, I'm trying to go, you know, I want to buy stuff. I want to give you money. They literally lock the door to you, and they're like, and then your partner in the crew walks up and is like, hey, these guys aren't going to sell you parts. And then you're like, why? Because they don't know you. It's like, oh, you know, that business standard that every fucking business owner does not do. What the fuck? You just walk up to McDonald's and you're like, yo, can I get a McChicken and a 10-piece McNugget? Nah, dog, I don't know who you are. Get out of my spot. Once again, it's just one of those things, unrelatable garbage that makes zero sense, and it's only there for plot convenience, and it's annoying. It's just genuinely annoying. Which brings me to my next point about progression. So, progression is good and bad. When it comes to money, there is definitely a lot of ways that you will find to make a shit ton of money, whether it be actually glitching and getting money, you know, illegitimately, or whether playing the game legitimately and actually getting a lot of money. Now, reputation is where things get a little muddy because I think it is the worst. It is just the worst. So there is a day and night cycle. You are supposed to race during the day for money and race during the night for reputation. Sounds simple enough, I know, but there's a huge difference here. So racing during the day is easy as fuck. The tracks are easy, there's no cars on the road, it's a legitimate race, it's a sanctioned race. Now at nighttime, you're street racing, so there's cars on the road and cops are going to be up your ass for literally no reason. And I mean literally no reason. There was one time where I was legitimately parked on the side of the road, like I wasn't even in the middle of the road, I was just like actually pulled off to the side, and a cop rolled up and is like, oh my God, that dude's in a Corvette, book him. Like, what why? Like, the cops will get on you for absolutely no reason. You could be obeying the speed limit, driving properly, the whole 9 yards, and they will straight up just go after you. You could be in a Volkswagen Beetle and they're like, oh my God, he's in a street race, get him. And it's the goofiest shit, and it's one of the most annoying things because reputation is more important than the actual money in game, which is just mind-blowing to me at this point. I've gone fully fucking numb. Just, I don't understand. My veins are popping, dude. This is so annoying to me. As I stated earlier, you have to actually be able to have a high enough reputation because the part owners will not sell you jack shit unless you have a reputation of hooliganery, and it's like, why? It's so slow. It is so slow. The reputation grind would be fine if there was actually a legitimate way to do it that makes sense instead of only getting like a little bit here and a little bit there. The main way this works is the higher your heat level, the more the more rep you will earn, which is fine, except for the fact that if you go anything above 3, you are literally getting fucking pooed on by everything and anything. You got the helicopters flying out, they got the ghetto birds in the sky, they summon these things called the fucking rhinos who just ram you into oblivion, and your bitch ass Porsche is not going to withstand a hit from a rhino. Like, it's just, it's absurd. It is genuinely absurd. Not to mention, at nighttime, you can't even teleport to your garage if you've earned any rep whatsoever, so you actually have to manually drive to the garage, which generally isn't a problem, except for the fact that these cops, if you have any kind of cops on you at all, you have to lose them, which the higher your heat level, the harder it is to do that. So you have to cheese them by jumping over like these kind of boats, or just using these, you know, ramps, and just hiding in these nonchalant spots that you're not even supposed to be up there doing. Like, literally most people jump this one ramp onto a train railway, and they just sit up there until the cops go away, and then that's how they escape the cops. Like, there's something wrong with your game when you have to cheat to get out of something that you're supposed to be able to do without cheating, you know? Like, that's not good. Which also, once again, brings me to my next point. The amount of rep that you earn is not even remotely worth, like, especially if you don't have any heat level. Like, even if you only get ×2 heat level, the amount of rep early on is so low. It is so low, and it's not even something that I can even recommend that it's worth doing. Like, you are better off like glitching your way to the top, because if you try and do it legitimately, you're just gonna rip your hair out. Which brings me to my next point, which is kind of about the community. And here's what I've seen. All right, I've watched a lot of Need for Speed Heat videos. I've seen plenty of videos from Cray G to Black Panther to Shaded. I've seen a lot of YouTubers that have, you know, that are covering this game, that are talking about it, and they're all great guys. I genuinely think they're all great creators, and they're doing, you know, their due diligence, and, you know, providing ways to the community in order to actually get these cars and get stuff. But the problem is, the community just wants to glitch its way to the top, and I can understand why. It's so absurd to try and progress reputation wise and money wise that you might as well just cheat. Like, there's no, I don't think there's a single person that genuinely wants to play this game legitimately, because you just will want to kill yourself by the time you're at least into like 2 hours. And that's where the problem lies, because everything that I just said is nothing but negativity and just like blah blah blah. Like, oh, there's already probably people that hate me already, but here's the problem. It's good. The game is good at its core. Whenever you get that super fast car, you get those upgrades, and you start racing, you start zooming and moving, you feel like a god. You see the screen get blurry, you got the blue NOS in the back of the car, you got the sick ass and, you know, fucking Lambo, you got the dope ass Ferrari, you got the Porsche, you got the whole shebang. All right, you got all that stuff. It feels great, it's phenomenal, but getting to that point without cheating is such a chore and a grind that I can't recommend this to a sane person that I even like. And I'm serious when I say the game is good. Whenever you're racing, even with the booty ass cars like that aren't super fast, the racing feels good. The controls are easy to get a grasp on, and this is coming from a person that doesn't race at all and doesn't like racing games. But it's easy enough to get into. You know, you don't touch the right stick whatsoever, steer with the left, you know, you drift with you know, the right trigger depending on what type of car you have. If you have one of those drift cars, you can just press RT and then just let go, and then press RT again and the car will drift. Or if you have a car that's not necessarily super good at drifting, you use the handbrake. It's very easy to get into and grasp, but like I said, getting to that point where you can customize and pay for cars and do just a lot of the stuff that you want to do early on is so far out of your reach that you'd have to spend double the hours what I have cheating fucking getting to the top. I think my blood rage rant is kind of over. I just kind of want to end on some positive notes. I want to talk about the car variety. I think everything that they have in the stock is genuinely great. They have like 132 cars, at least for Xbox. I don't know if there's any like exclusives to like PS4 or PC or anything like that, if there's any mods for PC, but just the 132 cars for me, that's a lot. That's a lot to take in, you know, owning all of them, getting them, it's a chore. It's definitely a chore, but for sure, I like the variety and the diversity that you get with it. And I like the fact that any car, like even if it's a Ford Raptor, which by the way, there is a Ford Raptor in this game, you can make it viable, you can make it useful, you can make it fast. There's many different ways to make old cars into like modern just speed demons. It's crazy. Like one of the top cars is a Porsche, which I believe it's the RSR, which was like what, from the 80s, maybe 90s, I don't know, but point being is that it's an oldish car, and that thing can keep up with a fucking Ferrari. Like, holy shit, that is like some of the craziest racing I've ever seen. I also like the community customization as well. I love the fact that you can upload your raps, and then, you know, people can check them out and download them, thumbs up, follow the creator, so on and so on. It just allows for creativity to be brought to life within the game, which was fantastic. Something that I loved about Midnight Club, which was the only other racing game I played, but I never played it for racing. I just played it for Mario files and just kind of customizing cars. That was kind of it. But overall, the customization, just the you know, the body kits that you can put on cars, as well as the community wraps, the engine swaps, and all the customization that you can go in depth with the car, just is fantastic. And I think that that's where people are going to have a lot of fun with, especially if you're a fan of building cars rather than racing cars like myself. Another little positive note that I want to talk about is the character customization. It's not super in-depth, and you can only pick from just a batch of like pre-made characters, and you can't like design your face, beard, hair, anything like that. Well, you can do your hair, but you can't like do any like facial customizations or anything like that. It's just kind of a preset character, which generally is fine because they've got a decent variety. But what I wanted to really just kind of take a moment to appreciate is the clothing options, the shoe options, just the whole shebang. Even though you don't really see much of your character, and you don't really get to kind of like focus too much on it other than the story, I think it's just great having that customization in there as well, so that way you can have kind of your own persona / personality within the game. So I definitely thought that was a good touch. I don't know if it's in other previous games, but the fact that it's in this one makes me happy, and I'm glad to see it. And the last thing I want to hit on is the actual tracks that you play on, or race on, I guess we'll say that. So during the day, the tracks are pretty linear, and there's no traffic, of course, and even the ones that aren't necessarily linear, and they're pretty topsy-turvy and curvy, those ones aren't really that bad, especially if you know what you're doing with the handbrake and how to drift and stuff. They're definitely easy to hit those corners. But the ones at night, there are a lot more annoying ones at night, I feel like, for the most part. But at the same time, I don't really have too many issues in terms of racing. It's just mainly the cops that fuck me over at night versus the racetrack. One thing that annoys me the most about nighttime tracks is the fact that the pedestrians are there, which generally aren't a problem if they're going to just keep driving and not just stop for no fucking reason. And that's the main issue, is that whenever you are racing, even if you're not racing, actually, if you're just driving at night, you could, you know, hit an intersection as slow as possible, and for some reason the car will just stop. It'll just stop, like, oh shit, are you gonna hit me? It's like, dude, I'm parked, just fucking move. Like, I swear to God, they program these pedestrians to actually screw you over for absolutely no reason. So when it comes to night races, the tracks are great, but just the pedestrians and the cops are going to give you the most hassle, because they're just roadblocks all the time, like just constantly. So yeah, there you guys have it. That's my actual review for Need for Speed Heat. Would I recommend it to you guys? I mean, without recommending glitching to the top and getting money and reputation as easily as possible, no, I would never recommend anybody to play this game in terms of just raw legitimacy. I just can't. It's just not fun. It really isn't. Like, the fun part about this game for me is racing, and I mean that, like, racing the car I want, not having to race some bootleg ass vehicle and then just try and make it good enough. And it's something that I don't want. You know, I want to have my vehicles and race what I want. That's what it is. And even when I'm not doing that, I also want to be able to customize, you know, mess around with vinyls, decals, you know, engine swapping and all this other stuff, and testing out certain things. That's what I enjoy about this game the most. Not exactly progressing through the story or progressing in reputation level, just playing the game and being able to fuck around with the customization and races. Just if the reputation thing wasn't there, I'd be a lot happier, but it is what it is. My biggest advice to this would be have them buff the reputation gain, so that way people don't feel like they have to glitch, because if you look at any of these YouTubers that are talking about glitches, there is hundreds and thousands of people that are looking to those people for the actual sauce. Like, they're trying to find the way to get past this because they're having the exact same problem I am. So if there's a community-wide problem, there needs to be a solution ASAP, because this game is probably going to die sooner than later, or it's just, it probably is going to die sooner than later, actually, because everybody's already glitched to the top, so it'll eventually get old. But yeah, thanks for watching. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.